Welcome, everyone. This is Pilot Niels, and you're listening to LOTRO Players News, where we take a look at lasers and LOTRO and hear LOTRO players. And this week, I am joined by Cinders.
Hello. I'm here. Hello.
All right. Yeah, your speaker just doesn't like coming in through to me, or should at that point. All right,
Yep.
let's head into some game news and see what's going on in the world of LOTRO this week, and we've had a few things. First off, we had an update 41.4, and in there, things were related to the Legacy of Morgoth, the pre-orders in there. First of all, accounts that have purchased Legacy of Morgoth from the LOTRO market will receive their level up 150 package to the first post-novice character logged on to a non-legendary world. So have you gotten your packages yet?
I have not logged in since it went.
So
Um.
I'll take.
So no.
So trying to decide. Okay, which character do I log into?
I know which character to log into, but I just haven't gotten on.
All right. So accounts that have purchased the Legacy of Morgoth Ultimate Fan Bundle will receive the Ultimate 150 level up package on the same character, first post novice character logged in to a non-legendary world. So therefore, if you have the Ultimate package, you'll receive two packages. Though you can only use one of them on that character if you log into an eligible character, since the other one, of course, since the character will become ineligible as soon as you use one of them. But you could use your shared storage in order to transfer it to another character. And also, these packages and their contents are bound to account, which is why you can send it through your shared storage system.
Yay!
And that is it for that update. So now you just have to decide what characters are going to get the Valors.
Yeah. I think I might send one to Cinders. Um. Just because she's sitting at what 122, 23, somewhere in there.
Yeah. Yeah, I put one of them on my captain and the other one is still in reserve, mainly to decide whether I should give it to a Berg or to a what's the or to a guard. I'm not too keen on a guard there, so I was leaning towards the Berg. So if you're giving yours to thinking of giving one to Centers, then I most likely will go with the Berg.
Yeah. And then
Because
I'm
that was
trying
the
to.
only thing holding me back was
Yeah. And then I might give one to my cook. Um. She's level 60, 50, something like that, somewhere in there.
right.
Um, might give one to her. We'll see. Haven't
Okay.
decided.
Very well. Then they also had a let's a second bullroarer test for update 42. So they were doing the usual things on there, running then a bullroarer, and we had there for, of course, more stuff for the Legacy of Morgoth. First off, they added the other two landscape areas, the Imhular and Urashtar. So now we've got all four regions now are available in game. And they also added the second of the instances, and the instance that they opened up this week is near Gambar, the Restless Tomb. So, as you can guess from that, this is going to involve the dead. I know, what a shock.
All right. Who could have guessed?
Now, they do have a third one that's listed here that says coming soon, so maybe they'll come in with the next Bowler test. The Will of Forgetting.
Hmm.
Hmm. I'm not too sure what that's all about. I once again forgot to do any tests with the elves. Sorry. I keep forgetting the elves. I'm so busy doing other stuff on there that I always forget to log into an elf to see what the elves look like. Of course, I might not tell the difference considering how little I tend to log into my elves,
Right. I think where I will notice the difference is probably in hairstyles. That's
right?
usually where I notice the biggest differences when they do avatar updates is in hairstyle availability. Because there are some
Okay.
hairstyles that I really, really like that certain races don't have yet. So,
Right.
but I get really
So I
excited when they come out.
yeah, we'll see what they have on it. If I remember correctly, I think they said something like this that they have added some of the new hairstyles in there, but there might be a few of them that would be added in a point update or something like that.
Yeah, they said they're gonna roll them out in groups.
Yeah, roll them
So,
out in groups.
yep.
Right. They had the reputation enhancement thing up. I did not check that since I was concentrating on a single character as I was doing my testing.
Yeah, I find with Bulber it can be really hard to do that because you're usually getting in the time that I have, I can get one character set up and ready to run, and then I'm usually out of time to play. So, so
Yeah,
Bulber
and
for me has just really been a wash. So I don't really spend any time keeping it updated and ready to run. Even
uh well, what you do is you have to spend the first bower doing all the setup, and then the second bower is when you actually do some testing because at least you got the character set up.
yeah, I've not hit them in succession like that just because of the way my life runs.
Okay, now let's head into the release notes then. And with the new changes, they put them in yellow, so I'll read them from there. First off, for champions, the debuff from Devastating Strike can now be overwritten and no longer requires you to wait for it to expire before it can be reapplied.
Ooh, they will
That's
probably like that.
yeah. For the mariners, the sail to skill that returns you to the fishing village in Bejmachda, you should now correctly bring fellows along with you when used. Yeah, that
That
would have
should
been a
also be
little
helpful.
bit. Yeah. All right. For Nirgambar, the Restless Tomb, fallen Nirgambar spirits now have a much larger hitbox to be more melee friendly. I think this was a midweek thing because I think when they first added it, they had too small of a hitbox. And Cavernous Shout on Boss 1 will now perform the skill correctly. All right. Then, let's see. For items and rewards, newly acquired Adventurer's Loot Box gear for level 150 characters will now scale to items level 150, 521 to 523. So, yeah, so that means pumping up the scaling level for loot boxes. I guess that's likely to happen on a interim expansion.
Hmm.
And finally, some miscellaneous things. The barbershop panel is now larger. The barbershop panel can now be dynamically scaled. Character panel can now be dynamically scaled, and the system menu and options panel can now be dynamically scaled.
I do appreciate those options to dynamically scale things
Yes.
because
Now I should
sometimes I
note.
want them up, but
Yeah.
just smaller and off to the side.
Yeah. Now note that on the options on the that since you go to the options menu in order to do the dynamic scaling, that if you are dynamically scaling the options panel, it won't really take effect until you hit accept because you're in the middle of dynamically scaling on it. And it will defeat the purpose if they rescaled it as you were pulling the
Right.
slider back and forth. But the others, they do expand and contract as you're moving across the bar on there. So anyway, it's nice to have those things in there. It took me a little while to figure out that it was on in the options panels where the dynamic scaling is done. But it does work in there. And so it is nice. As you said, you can either make it larger so that you see it more easily. I think the people who have 4K monitors will appreciate scaling up larger. And of course, as you said, if you need to put it to a side but still have it open and some parts of it visible, then you might, yeah, then going the opposite direction could be useful also.
Yep.
And that's it for the beta number 2. They are expecting another beta next week. And that might even be the final beta for it. And beta number 3, so I think they still have another instance to test, and we still need to get baubles all set up in there because they only have a couple of baubles in it. The baubles that are earned directly in the expansion, those are the only ones right now that I think that are active. And I didn't earn any baubles while I was there, so my bauble panel still looks empty. I'm hoping that they will get it so that the fireworks and stuff will go in there. It'd be nice to see that
Yay!
before the end of the beta,
Right.
so that we can all know that they're actually working.
That would be nice.
Now, I did test out the new missions because the new missions were also up, and they divided. I found 3 areas where they were giving missions. And the reason why I said I found is because if there was a fourth one that it was hidden along somewhere, I didn't find it. But I did find 3 areas, and all of them are in towns where you have rep ports. So I got up the rep in there, and I went to each of the 4 rep port areas, and 3 of those had mission quest givers.
Yeah.
One of the
I'm
one
acknowledging I'm hearing
oh,
you.
oh, okay, okay. One of them is the one that was the earliest of the 4 in the quest progression. That one had 8 missions there, and those 8 missions are up every day as far as I can tell. Now, I don't know if these are just a subset of the ones they're eventually getting, or if this is the full set of missions they're expecting. Could be that this is only a partial set, and that we'll be seeing more later on. And they had at the other 2 locations, they had a total of 10 missions at each of those locations, 5 of them on one day and alternating with 5 on the next day. So they're going back and forth on the missions rather than having the same ones every day on there. So I don't know what the plans are for final, but I think they had that in there so they could at least have them up for test purposes. So they're likely setting up some sort of rotation for them. But I don't think it's final yet. I can't remember how many different delvings there are because these missions already have delvings with them. So since they already have delvings, it's obviously can't be anything that has a common factor with the number of delvings that we have. I forgot whether we have 6 or now or 7 now for the delvings. If they have 7, then having 2 sets would be fine.
I have no idea.
Yeah, you have no idea on that, right? I think 7 is a good number because a prime number for the number of delvings would be really, really useful to keep from having common factors. Because the
Yeah.
idea of delvings is they want to have every set of delving instance be able to match with the delving types that they have.
Yeah.
All right, so that is it for our release notes there. So let's go to the next item where they did a test on the Nazgul Event Arena. They said, what on earth is a Nazgul Event Arena? I'd like to announce that we're running a test of the Nazgul Event Arena on Bulwer. Okay, that was back on Tuesday when they did that. This test will be open to all players regardless of subscription status and will be scaled to the character level cap of 150 on Bulwer. This is mainly a test of the functionality and performance under load rather than a balance test, though that will be an interesting as well. The more people that we can crowd in, the more strain that we can put onto the format and see if it is working as intended. I must admit that I did not have an opportunity to run this. Details on the event format itself were going forward, and they were talking about their main goals through all of the items in there. The main goal of this format is to help reduce issues with overcrowding and its attendant lag during Nazgul encounters, and to ensure that all players who are interested will have an opportunity to encounter them. Whenever a Nazgul might spawn on the landscape, there is now an opportunity instead for a portal into the shadows to open up. Should this portal open, any players encountering it may enter it directly. Anyone entering will find themselves in a semi public arena with up to 48 other players who into which the Nazgul will shortly spawn. I have a feeling it's really with up to 48 players, including them, because 48 sounds like a nice number in the way the numbers work in Lotros. 49 would sound a little bit weird.
Yeah, but
Additional,
say somebody
what?
pointed out a little further down though, the numbers being that specific could cause some problems.
Okay, we'll see that in a moment. Additional players beyond this limit will be placed in a new arena larger with its own enemy spawn and so on. In most respects, these battles are identical to those that occur on the landscape, save for the following. The Nazgul will not attempt to teleport players away. The layer limit should prevent overcrowding instead. The terror defense that is countered by the ring still exists, but is significantly less powerful than on the landscape, such that the Nazgul can potentially be defeated without one. A mechanic exists in the arena that allows players to mitigate the dread that builds up on them over the course of the encounter. Characters must be in the arena itself when the defeat of the Nazgul in order to be counted for rewards. But since you're not going to be teleported away, then you're less likely to be outside of the arena. Since I think the number one reason why you might not be near the Nazgul in the current landscape version is because the Nazgul teleported you off. All other mechanics of the fights are intended to be identical, including the time limit to defeat them. This time is counted from when the Nazgul itself spawns, not the portal. The event is in one arena should have no bearing on any other. That means they could have different time periods because obviously the second Nazgul is unlikely to spawn at the same time as an earlier one, since it'll take time for people to find the portal and to get in. Players will not be able to summon each other into the arena. Any summons should be handled before entering. Fellowship grouping does not guarantee that members will enter into the same layer, but entering simultaneously should improve the odds of doing so. Once it is spawned, the portal itself will remain for about 15 minutes before it fades. At that point, no additional players will be able to enter the arenas. Players who are defeated will respawn in the space. A gate exists in the arena that will allow players to leave at any point, but be aware that you may exit far away from where you entered. Note that these events are not expected to entirely replace the landscape versions of the Nazgul encounters. Those will still occur regularly for those who wish to attempt them in the raw form. So you're saying something about the specific number?
Yeah, so if you
Yeah,
read the next comment down,
yeah,
the first response,
yeah.
if the
If
number, yeah, if they're not quite enough, then you might end up in a short-handed layer and be really frustrated.
Yes. Now, the response to this from Vastin is that the
Mhm.
strength of the Nazgul does scale to some degree with the size of the group that they're facing. While on the whole, it's probably better to have more people facing off against one. A short-handed encounter is not as lopsided as it may seem. Still, if you were to find yourself up against one with just a small handful of others, discretion may prove to be the better part of valor.
And that's if it's working as designed. If for some reason
Then,
it doesn't work as designed, then there's problems.
yeah. So we'll see. Yes, but so I would say if it's between 49 and about 55, then yeah, maybe a little short, but if it's working as designed, then I think if you have more than 55, then the second one might be able to get by. Because since it's in an instance, I think they have the ability to scale the challenge a little bit so they could fit with the size of the group. Or probably it'll scale with the maximum size of the group, meaning it could go up but not down if somebody decides to leave for some reason.
Yeah.
But that is just a guess.
Be interesting to see what happens when it goes live.
Yep, that is. That's true. It'll be interesting to see what happens. And that's it for our notes in Lotro. So let's go into our store sales. What's on sale this week?
Today, or this week, I guess, not just today. Um, the store sales double bonus points is back, so you can get twice the bonus points in the Lotro store through October 27th. Which reminds me, I need to log on and do that. Also, you can find your Shadowfax and get 25% off select war steeds and mounts. Writing skills, select war steed cosmetics. Sadly, still no Shire Plum die for those. Movement speed buffs through October 24th. And then the weekly coupon is for a free 100% crafting XP with coupon code INSIGHTFUL, INSIGHTFUL, through October 24th as well.
All right. So let's go into our week in Lotro. And what have you been up to?
Well, I did kind of spend some time in Lotro. So before everything updated during the week, on Sunday afternoon, I played around in Umbar's Underground with Krister and Pineleaf. We were working on finishing off some deeds and just turning in some quests that we had just kind of randomly floating around in our logs. And then I started a game called Going Medieval that Sans has been playing and that my son picked up and had started playing. And I was like, oh, well, I'll try it out. So I tried it in peaceful mode, and that was going pretty well. So then I started a second one in standard mode, which Sans says is totally great. You just maybe want to turn off the trebuchets that the raiders bring, and then they won't like knock down your walls. And I didn't find the option for that with the second game that I started. So then when she told me how to find it, I started a third world, and that is the one I'm currently playing. Well, not right this second, but it's the one I'm working in. And so far it's been pretty good. Finally, how was
Okay.
your week?
So I
Oh,
take it then that the trebuchets were giving you trouble in the second world, which is why you decided to create the third one?
so I didn't try them. So San said that when she had been playing it before she found out that you could do that, and turn them off, what would happen is you would build a wall around your settlement,
Right?
and the raiders, because they couldn't get in, they would bring trebuchets, and those will insta knock down your walls and then let them just stream through. And so she was having a hard time keeping her settlers alive. But if you turn off the trebuchets, then they just try to get through doors. And so you just put like one door in your
Yeah.
gate and let your archers just pick them off as they come through.
I mean, raiders and trebuchets just don't sound like they go together because trebuchets are heavy war weapons that are very, very slow to have. If you're conducting a raid, the idea is to go in, do something, and get out quickly.
That
So,
is true.
yes. So that sounds like that sounds like a
Anyhow,
a misfire
apparently
by the designer. Yes.
apparently they bring siege machinery if they can't just get through your walls to knock down your
Well,
walls. And so she goes, if you turn those off, then your raiders stay on par with your civilization and
yeah.
they don't acquire technology you don't have.
Okay.
So
So,
it is a colony sim. Like it's just a little more involved than some of the other ones.
all right.
So
Then, okay, now going to my week there. My lore master, my upper lore master, was running most of the new missions on the test server. So I was trying out various ones of those and seeing how they work. Okay, some interesting mix on missions in there. As I said, there are 28 different ones in here, and I think any enemy that you could potentially find in the zone appears in at least one of them. as far as I could tell. So actually, I haven't run the Cobras yet, but there were a couple of them I haven't done yet. So I'm going to guess that there is a Cobra one in there somewhere. I just haven't figured out where it is yet. I guess we'll have to see. But the Cobras, I think, are the only enemy I haven't run into yet. And my captain received a quick promotion, and it has and joined the Friday night fights last night. So you can just imagine the joy of playing a playing a recently valored character in group session play. I did have a chance to get my legacies into there, but I didn't have any. I mean, the traceries into there. Boy, I always get that name right. Yeah, I've got the traceries into there, but I haven't leveled up the traceries yet, so I still need enhancement runes and stuff like that. So I'll be playing. So I did play some missions today with my captain, and I'm trying to get the rewards track and use the fruit from the rewards track in order to help level up my captain in that way. And my Angmar Warden finished up the Cardland portion of the epic story and is now preparing to enter into the Black Grave. I'm sure nothing could possibly go wrong there.
Nope, not at all.
Oh, yes. That's right. I forgot. Concerning the captain, I did run some of the Trestle Bridge missions in there, including Attack on Codfast. And oh boy, it was nice seeing those enemies spawn in right away as you go into there instead of having them wait forever before they do it. So thank you for fixing that. I probably said that a few weeks ago when I read it in the release notes, but it is good to see that confirmed and working properly. We do not have any emails this week, but if you like since one, you can send it to podcast@lotraplayers.com. The Players Alliance has two shows. On Saturdays at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, we record Lotra Players News and re-record DDO Players News when Drac is available. And you can join us for our shows at lotraplayers.com/live. And that's all for tonight then. This is Pilot Needles reminding you to skirmish responsibly.